ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Friday, November 18th. We get you set for the weekend as your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I am your host, Paul Swann, here until 6 o'clock, taking your phone calls and your text. I've got the text line already open for you, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Tomorrow is the day. Marshall taking on Georgia Southern. We're going to have that game for you coming up on our sister station, 93.7 The Dog, as we've got basketball in action tomorrow as well. And that game's going to be on right here. It's going to be on this very station, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So we got a little crossover. I think next week when the basketball and football schedules were made here a week or so ago, announced, I think we're going to be fine. There's not going to be too much crossover. So we're going to have everything in one place. But for this weekend, everything is going to be spread out a little bit. So if you're going to basketball, you can listen to the football game on 93.7 The Dog. And if you want to keep an ear on basketball, we're here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Speaking of basketball, we got a win to talk about. Went on the road and did the deed against Miami of Ohio. Beat them 95-69. In that game, Tavion Kinsey scored 14 points, just enough to put him at 2,000 points in a career at Marshall University. 2,000 points, and he's still going. He joins a list that has John Elmore, Skip Henderson, and John Taft. Those are the other three men that have reached 2,000 points in a single career at Marshall University, in a career. Now, will Tavion catch Taft? Will he catch Skip Henderson? Will he catch John Elmore? I'd love to say yes. I don't know. Whatever he ends up with, it's going to be pretty fantastic. So, Tavion Kinsey, we're going to hear from him in just a few minutes. We're going to hear from Dan D'Antoni as well. Yesterday, they get the victory on the road, so we've got their comments. It was a pretty good performance. Marshall had 27 points off turnovers. Marshall had 44 points in the paint. Marshall had 21 fast break points. Marshall got 36 points from the bench. Marshall had 14 second chance points. Marshall shot in the game 37 of 66. 3-point line, 13 of 26. Got to work on free throws a little bit better. 8 of 17 there. Rebounding, out-rebounded Miami 44-36. Outstanding performance, I thought, and hopefully it gets better. I like the way that Andrew Taylor played. You got 26 points from him. Camden Kerfman had 16. Tavion had 14. Jacob Connor had 10. Wyatt Fricks had 19, and he was hot from the three-point line. I mean, fire. And Camden Kerfman was hot there as well. 5 of 8 for Camden and 5 of 7 for Fricks. Great performances. I thought it was what I expected the season to be. I remember a few weeks ago, I said these were winnable games. A lot of these games, the schedule, these were winnable games for the Herd. And I remember someone texted in and said, what makes you think that these MAC schools are winnable games? Well, here's one. Here's a reason I think is because once this team started to put it together, I like what I'm seeing. And if this team can play some better defense, even more deadly. It's a pretty good game last night. Thundering Herd with the victory. So you got to feel good about getting the victory over Miami of Ohio, winning the game against the former MAC foe. By the way, I got the email earlier today that outlines all the basketball promotions coming up, opportunities. And you say they don't do promotions at Marshall. Stop that. I don't want to hear that. I've got a gigantic email list. The Thundering Herd is going to be offering a MAC pack while I'm thinking about it. It's a ticket package for the Akron, Ohio, and Toledo games. If you buy tickets to 2 of the 3 games against the former MAC rivals, you get them for a discounted rate. Ticket prices are as follows. Lower level chairbacks are $70. Lower level bleachers are $50, and upper level chairbacks are $30. So if you're looking for a ticket deal, you can inquire within the ticket office, and they're going to hook you up. I got, as I said, a whole list of these things. I used to not get this kind of stuff. Now I'm getting it. So I'll share it with you. So I appreciate the administration for giving me a little bit more info on what's happening a little sooner than later so I can talk about it and share it with you. So I got to say, I see where you say Marshall doesn't do promotions. Well, I've got a full list of them. We're going to talk about that. Marshall men's soccer won yesterday as well. How about that? Thundering Herd on the road won 1-0 against Elon. Now, the next opponent for the Thundering Herd will be the 4-seed Virginia. And maybe Indiana awaits down the line. So congratulations to Grassi and his team. You want to see, maybe this team needs to be on the road. Maybe this team needs to have a little attitude and a chip on its shoulder. Hey, look, you're not good enough to host. You're not good enough to host. You got to go on the road. You are unseeded. You are not hosting. You are a road team in this thing. Maybe that's going to do it for this Herd team. Tick them off just a little bit more. Competitive match yesterday against Elon. So the Herd gets the victory, moving on to the 4 seed. Let's hope that the Herd can continue its winning ways on the pitch. And we, of course, are going to keep an eye on that Sunday. That's going to be on Twitter, and it'll be streaming as well. So if you're looking for updates, you can follow the official account, get the updates there, streaming on ESPN Plus. So easy way to follow that. When we continue, let's talk basketball a little further. We're going to hear from, first up, Tavion Kinsey, got his 2,000th point. We will hear what he had to say when he found out he did not know about it. So that's a surprise for him. We'll get your comments. Text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You want to be a part of the program, you can text in to the show today.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
You can be a part of the program with our text line. It's open at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. From the text line, it speaks volumes that 2 starters from last year's team played only 7 minutes and 2 minutes respectively. I think highly of the 3 freshmen. I think it does speak volumes. You want to put the best players out on the court. Last year, let's be quite honest, Marshall was not the best team on the court on any given night. You wanted to improve that, so you put the best talent out there. And I have no problem with some veteran leadership like Tavion and Andrew being out there, mix it in with some freshmen that can play the game, play the style of basketball that Coach D'Antoni wants, and can do it, can hit the outside shot, play at tempo. I'm not upset. I'm not upset about it as all. I'm going to say I'm not upset. I want to see Marshall put the best players on the court and go from there. And that doesn't mean you're not going to see other players come out there. I just don't want to see players out there if you've got someone else on the bench that can give you what you need. It was sort of like the quarterback change at Marshall University. Play the player that's going to give you the best opportunity to win, and that means you need to see only 9 minutes of Obina and Achille Killen. Then 9 minutes is all you need of Obina. And I'm not picking on Obina. It's just if he's someone that needs to come in occasionally and maybe not be a starter, so be it. If he's someone that going to have to serve as more of a bench player, so be it. You just want to put the best players out there. And I think Dan understands that. And you know what? He's forgotten more basketball than I ever knew. So I'm not going to, when it comes to that, if he's putting the best players out there and they're getting these kind of performances and the team's winning, I'm not going to criticize him for that. Question from the text line, how many wins does Marshall need to be bowl eligible? From what I understand, FCS wins don't count. 1 will count. Marshall may count 1 of those wins. So Marshall played 2 FCS teams. You can only count 1. So right now, even though Marshall is at 6 wins, 2 of those wins came from victories over FCS teams. You need a 7th win to become bowl eligible. If Marshall gets the 7th win, then it's bowl eligible, and then you move on, and maybe you can get the 8th win as well and really have no doubt whatsoever. So if you win the next 2, you don't have to worry about it, but you win one of the next 2, you become bowl eligible. On a given year, though, not too many teams schedule 2 FCS teams. Some scheduling quirks necessitated that. It's not something you're going to see too often, but Marshall, does need to win one of the next 2 games to be bowl eligible. And if that's the case, hats off to Coach Huff for getting it going, because it was a little shaky start. Bob Pruitt, again, would always say, hey, they remember what you do in November. He used to say that a lot. Whatever happens, they remember what you do in November. And if Marshall wins out in November, people are going to feel a lot better about this team. Text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Marshall getting the victory in basketball yesterday over Miami, 95-69. Tavion Kinsey got his 2,000th point, up to 2,000 career at Marshall University. He didn't even know. He wasn't keeping count. He didn't know until he was told about the number 2,000th point. Number 2,000 in his career on a free throw of all things. Hits a free throw, and he gets 2,000 points. That's where we start with Tavion from last night. He did not know when he was told about it.
Didn't know it at all. Definitely a milestone in my career, but it's early, so I guess we can see how many points we can keep going with. Definitely.
Gonna try to hit 3,000 this season.
Man, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
No, but Tay, how did tonight go? Obviously, you guys had the lead pretty much the entire game, but just what were you most impressed with, your guys?
For the most part, I think I was most impressed with just our team win. It was a big team victory. We had a lot of guys who contributed. We had a lot of guys in foul trouble. Me being one, Obina being another, Micah being another, but we still found a way for guys to step up and contribute with some minutes, and they did great contributions. And then, us coming back in and helping out the best that we can. Like I said, overall, it was a great team win.
Yeah, and on the defensive side, I mean, you guys held them, I think it was 19% from the arc in that second half, or maybe it was, yeah. So just, you guys were pressing pretty hard tonight. Was that kind of the game plan?
Yeah, I think that's our game plan every night. Last year, we didn't come with enough intensity, enough fire. So I think that just comes from having more intensity this year, more fire. Coach Dan's been on us about that. All the coaches have been, and that's kind of been our keys on defense. Is just we kind of say, don't let them punk you. Like we don't want to be bullied, and I think we faced a lot of that last year. We let teams just bully us sometimes, but for the most part, I think we're pulling it together as a team, and we're playing great team defense. One guy gets beat, then it's your job to step up for your teammate. And, we all move on one accord. We all move on one string. So I think we're doing a great job of that. And that just allows for us to be more intense. Because when you see your guy, make a play on defense, then that makes you want to make a play on defense. And then it's contagious. So,
hey, Tay, also that kind of led to some great offense. I mean, that's what defense does. You guys, you were shooting so well from outside, but when, you got the ball in transition, you got them on their heels, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's plays like that, defensive plays. When you get a steal, the basketball guys are bound to reward you, with some threes or maybe an open layup, maybe a dunk. And I think that's what they were doing tonight for the most part. We've been intense. We still got a lot of things we want to clean up, because I know nobody's perfect, but that's what we strive for. We strive every day to try to be as close to perfect as we can, and nobody's perfect. But as long as we shoot for being perfect, we're going to get close to being there. So I think tonight, just putting some pressure on them on defense, allowing it to create our offense. And we know we can put the ball in the basket. We don't have a problem with that. We got a lot of guys who can do that. We just, as a unit, want to get a lot of guys who can defend, and then it's going to be hard to stop us.
How meaningful was it for you? I know you never want to sit on the bench, but with foul trouble, you get to watch these young guys come in and really early in the season and kind of set the tone. I'm sure that's a pretty good sign for you guys.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite games we played this year. I mean, points can mean anything, but just to see other guys be able to step up, these guys work hard every single day in practice, and they make us work hard. The starter guys work hard. So Coach Dan's always looking for guys to get out there and contribute. And I think that's what we did tonight. We had guys to step up and contribute at big minutes. And I like seeing that. Hopefully we can build on that. And I know we will, for sure.
Kind of going off of that, I mean, how do you think Wyatt Fricks did? He had a pretty big game tonight.
It was his birthday. It was his birthday. So happy birthday to him. Sometimes on birthdays, I don't think I've ever played a bad game on my birthday. So just to see a guy like that, he came in big minutes. The guy could shoot the ball. He could shoot the lights out, and he proved that tonight. He played excellent defense. He was locked in the whole game. So I'm very proud of him. I'm rooting for him every single day, and I know he deserves a game like that. You know, he works hard in practice. He makes sure he steps up, and he's been through a lot. You know, he's been through a couple knee injuries in his whole career. So just to see something like that, it makes me smile, makes me happy, it makes me feel great about the whole game. So
Tavion Kinsey, feeling good. 2,000 points. The team gets the victory. We got Dan D'Antoni's comments. I thought you might want to hear those when we continue. Plus your phone calls and texts. Phone line is 877-420-TALK with the text line 304-396-8255. That's 304-396-TALK. More on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue on with this Friday edition. It is November 18th. I'm your host, Paul Swann, and it is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll be talking about the Marshall victory over Miami last night, defeating the Redhawks 95-69. Great victory, I think. Anytime you can beat Miami. I go back a little bit. I remember those battles between Marshall and Miami. I don't like Miami. Plain and simple. I don't like Miami. I know it's been almost 20 years since the Herd faced off against them. That's fine. I don't like them. Football, basketball. I mean, that's what regional rivalries should be about. Hopefully, the Herd can continue to play Miami. I think it would be a great series if Marshall can continue that one. You got to play Ohio. I think you always should have Ohio on the schedule from the Mid-American Conference. And I know some of you don't like MAC schools. I get it. I get it to this day. But I think you should always have Ohio on the schedule, if not every year, frequently. Also, you should have Miami in basketball. Maybe you can play in football now and then, but basketball definitely. Ohio and Miami definitely on the schedule yearly in basketball. And if you can't get Miami yearly, you do the game with Ohio. You just make that work. It should happen on a yearly basis. And hopefully we can see more of Marshall and Ohio here in the years to come. Let's hear from Dan D'Antoni as we've talked about Marshall getting the victory over Miami, 95-69. It's a good night for Dan D'Antoni. Any night usually is a good night for Dan D'Antoni, but Coach was definitely feeling it last night with the victory.
We played pretty good, played better. We had too many turnovers, but we played good. You know, Coach is never satisfied. I'll be satisfied I find out what I get to eat on the bus going home.
Hey, Coach, talk about the freshmen with Tay on the bench. They kind of, 3 games into this season, they weren't scared to go out in enemy territory and play hard tonight.
You know what? I'm going to run out of words because I'm going to have to talk about them all the time. And after a while, you lose words. You're good. You know, they're playing good. They get better, but they're playing good. Wyatt finally started shooting like we watching practice. You know, first couple of games, I didn't know, but he took those 2 games and what he should have made maybe 2 or 3 more in that when he put them all in one game and shot the ball extremely well, played well. And I thought Hanlogden playing against that big guy did okay. You know, he's going to get stronger and better, but I thought he held his own. And Jake O'Connor's special. He's a special player. Yeah. And I just got to keep recruiting him all the time, keep him with us because he's going to make me a special coach.
Coach Andy had 26 points tonight, or just what do you think from his performance tonight and how he kind of stepped up in that role?
Well, I took him out. So, Andy's special too. And Andy loves basketball. You know, those guys, that's what makes it fun. Andy's in that. He's all the time wanting to get better. He's all the time wanting to play better. And you got kids like that. He's talented. You know, he's talented. He's a lot more athletic than you think, jumps higher than you think, faster than you think. And he's just, this is a good group. I've got my fingers crossed that they get everything they deserve. And we'll see what happens. It's a long season. So anything can happen. We got to come every game. We got 2 real quick here. Boom, boom. So told them in there, just got to take care of their bodies, make sure they're ready. We'll try to take care of them in practice, not do as much, but make sure we're ready. Today's Thursday, Saturday against Coppin State.
Well, I remember.
Dan, go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry.
That's okay.
Just going off of Andy, though, I just remember a couple of Zoom some Zoom calls that we had last season after away games where, the shots weren't falling for him. So just how does it feel to see him post such big numbers on a road game like that? Because I feel like, we didn't really get a chance to see that last season.
Well, he started off really slow last season, and had a hard time early in the year. He started picking it up and got a little better toward the end, but still wasn't what, like you say, wasn't Andy. And we weren't Marsh last year, whether it might have been me, I don't know. I didn't feel real good. We had a lot of COVID. It just, I don't know. We had a lot of administrative changes. It's just, it felt funky. And it's that kind of an excuse. At the same time, reality. So, it is what it was. These guys, Tavion and Andy, came back. They were roommates, determined that they were going to change this thing for Marshall. And that's what's special about these guys play for Marshall. And their biggest thing is Marshall's success. And because of that, they're a special group.
Dan, with the length that you have, and you've talked about it, but you guys forced turnovers tonight. That led to some run outs and some nice open threes. Is that what you envision with this defense? If you guys can get that going, it helps your offense.
Well, no question. I always have said it. Good defense keeps the other team from scoring. Great defense creates a score on the other end. So I want to thank my assistant coaches for going out and finding the type of kids that fit how I like to coach. And this is the type of team I like to coach. They're long, they're athletic. I think the game's going that way. Got 4 of them can score at 3 levels, 3-point, mid-range, and at the basket. So we keep working on that. I think Hanlogden will get there. He can shoot. He's not game ready to shoot yet. He's too young, but he's going to get to where he's game ready. He can shoot. So eventually, as we mature, these young guys mature. I mean, Hanlock is 18 years old. So is Jake Kahn. So those guys, as they mature, and then as Tavion with his leadership and Andy's leadership, and I just see and hope for them because they deserve it. I hope for them a great season.
Coach, talk about that first half. I mean, you guys were really shooting the 3-ball very well, very efficient in that first half. How big was that to this win tonight, getting off to such a fast start against Miami of Ohio?
Well, basketball is a maker's game now. They'll say that in the NBA that it's a maker. So whoever makes shots, the team is going to win. I can't tell you how important it is to make shots so that your defense gets better on the other end. A lot of our problems last year defensively, we weren't very good offense, and it created easy baskets at the other end for the other team. But when they're taking the ball out of the net every time, and then they got to come against our lane, it's going to be hard on some teams, And we still got, like I said, we got a long way to go. We got good teams that have 13 scholarships and good coaches too. So it's a long way to go. We just have to do the best we can, keep our fingers crossed. And Herd fans have got to come out and support these young guys and feel it so that none of them get their head turned and want to go somewhere else. How you do that is you come and support them and they'll stay, because Huntington and Marshall is a good place to be. And we've got a lot of good things going for the university now. President Brad Smith, Christian Spears, new athletic director, a lot of positivity, a lot of people doing things to make things work. So you know what? I want to enjoy it as long as I can. I ain't putting anything in your mind now, but I want to enjoy it as long as I can. And right now, I'm enjoying the heck out of it and want to go one day at a time and see what happens.
Couple of things toward the end that Dan talked about. He wants to keep going, wants people to show up, because if you want good things to happen, you need to come out and support the Herd. You want to keep good players in Huntington, you need to come out and support the Herd. If you want to keep the opportunity to bring players in, good players in, you got to come out and support the Herd. So he was lobbying, make sure that people come out. Saturday, of course, another opportunity. Football is on the radio. You can take your radio with you and listen to the football game while you watch the basketball game. I know that's going to be a lost art for some of you. 2023, we're going to bring it back. The concept of taking your radio with you, you can listen to the football game, and you can also watch the game. It's live on your radio. So opportunity there tomorrow. And, of course, just a reminder, if you're going to the basketball game tomorrow and you want to keep an ear on the game, it's on 93.7 The Dog, the football game. If you want to listen into the basketball side of things, it is on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. As both games conflict tomorrow, the football game and the basketball game being played close to the same time. And we'll have both of those across our kindred family of radio stations. We will get more of your text in 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. You want to be a part of the program today. So what did you think about what Dan had to say as far as anything stood out to you? Talking about the young players, talking about Tavion. Of course, maybe Dan making the pitch. Hey, I want to keep doing this. Dan also making the pitch. Hey, let's get some fans to show up, support these young men. Make sure that they don't show up to the basketball arena, not see anyone there, and decide, well, if I'm doing pretty good here, maybe I can do do something else better elsewhere. I think you got the idea from what he was saying. Show up, support the herd, see how things go. And by the way, if you're going to the basketball game tomorrow, just a reminder, take the phone with you ahead of time and download the Herd Zone app so you can do the sync thing with the lights. You can sync up. I'm not going to be there on Saturday, Monday though. I'm back on Monday. They got a spot for me. I know they've been reconfiguring the university's layout, seating, things like that. They found a place for me. It's going to be the old place. I'm going to move a few feet over from where I used to sit. So they finally found a place for me, and it's right back to where I used to be. I'm excited. I'll see you all on Monday. Roosters tomorrow, 3 o'clock for the show is going to be me and my good friend Bill Cornwell. We'll get you started with Huntington Federal Savings Bank college football today. That's coming up tomorrow, 3 o'clock here on 93.7 The Dog, as we'll have the Huntington High football game. First up on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930, and then Marshall basketball will follow later on that evening. Final segment coming up, we'll talk about some of the things that are happening at Marshall. I told you there's a list of promotions that are coming up, and you say that Marshall doesn't do promotions. I'm going to prove you wrong when we continue on this edition of The Drive.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
This is our final segment of this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930, Friday, November 18th. Tomorrow we have a full plate of action for you. Marshall basketball on ESPN 94.1 AM 930. Marshall football going to be on 93.7 The Dog. And I told you before we went to the commercial break, and if you weren't with us, you're just in time. Promotions. Everyone says Marshall doesn't do promotions. Guess what? Marshall does promotions. I've got the list. I've got the evidence to prove it. Coppin State and Chicago State are going to be thankful nights. So this is a canned food drive. If you bring a canned food item, it's going to get you a $5 discount off your ticket. The canned goods are being donated to the Facing Hunger Food Bank. Morehead State on November 26th. We played after the football game versus Georgia State. That's going to be Youth Day. And so if your child comes wearing the youth team jersey, you get free admission. And in addition to Youth Day, any fan on the 26th that will bring their football ticket with them will get $5 off their basketball ticket. Now, if you, by chance, want to get both tickets, you don't have tickets yet, and you want to get tickets to both games, there is a thankful ticket deal, and you can get a ticket to both basketball and football for only $30. You have to go to the website. Go to herdzone.com. You click through on the there's a promo code. It's thankful. That's the promo code, thankful, for those of you ordering online. Now, I have already put my request in, and it better be honored, or I'm going to stop reading these emails. That's for sure. There's going to be a bobblehead giveaway for the Akron game on November 30th. The first 300 fans are going to receive a free Marco bobblehead. Actually, it's going to be 299 of you because I'm getting one, or again, as I've just made known, and I've informed the person in charge, I'm not going to read these emails anymore if I don't get that bobblehead. So 299 of you better fight it out. That's pretty cool. They should do more bobblehead giveaways, things like that. That's stuff. You know, there should be a Coach Huff bobblehead. There should be a Dan D'Antoni bobblehead. There should be a Tony Kemper bobblehead. Should have little bobbleheads of the coaches. Whiteout game is going to be on December 3rd. That's going to be the game against Ohio. Fans are encouraged to wear white and get there early for a chance to receive a free rally towel. The Toledo game on December 17th is going to be Superhero Day. Kids who wear superhero costumes will get in free. It's going to be a kids' dunk contest and more. Could you see Captain America dunking, Superman dunking, the Incredible Hulk dunking, see Batman dunking? I like to see it. Captain Marvel dunking, whatever your favorite character is. Are you Marvel or DC? That's a text question if I've never asked one. Are you DC or Marvel, or a little bit of both? Or are you just, you're everything? You're a comic book person like Woody Woodrum. Now, I told you earlier, if you weren't with us, there's a Mac Pack for the Akron, Ohio, and Toledo games. If you buy tickets to 2 of the 3 games against Akron, Ohio, and Toledo, the MAC rivals, the former MAC rivals, you get them for a discounted rate. Ticket prices are lower level chairbacks $70, lower level bleachers $50, upper level chairbacks $30. And if you are feeling festive on December 19th, you are encouraged to wear Santa hats and ugly Christmas sweaters. Fans who participate will receive $5 off their tickets. There'll be holiday music, and you get to see Santa Marco. Santa hats and ugly Christmas sweaters. So you got to wear, I don't know, you have to wear both, or can you just wear one? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I have an ugly Christmas sweater ordered. I'm going to win. It's going to be the best. And if it's in time, I'm on December 19th. If I have that in my possession in time, I might debut it on December 19th. There's some promotions for the women's game as well. The game on November 27th against Duquesne for the women will serve as Thankful Night. You bring in the canned good. You're going to get tickets for $1 to the game, also benefiting Facing Hunger Food Bank. There's a water bottle giveaway. If you show up at the Davis and Elkins game on December 4th, the first 100 fans will receive a free Marshall water bottle, and they're going to do a selfie cam also. I'm there for the water bottle. I'm going to tell you that right now. The Wright State game on December 9th for the women. If you wear white, you'll get a rally towel or get a chance to receive a rally towel. It's Youth Day also. And also the ugly Christmas sweaters and Santa hats promotion. St. Bonaventure game for the women on December 18th. $1 tickets and a chance at winning a prize. And again, there's holiday music, and you get a chance to see Santa Marco. And then the final non-conference game against UT Chattanooga going to be faculty and staff appreciation game. And faculty and staff will receive a free ticket and going to be invited to attend a luncheon prior to the game if they pick up their ticket before December 19th. So that's a look at some of the promotions happening. And you said that they don't do promotions. You know who you are. I know who you are. Coming up on Saturday, Marshall basketball, Coppin State, Marshall football, Georgia Southern. The Herd taking on Clay Helton's squad, his first season in Statesboro. They are 5-5, 2-4 this season. Their quarterback, Kyle Van Treese, has thrown for at least 1 touchdown in all 10 games the team has played this season. He has 3,307 yards this season. Why does this game matter? 1, if you win it, you're bowl eligible. 2, it's an old school rivalry. Marshall leads the series 4-2, also on a 4-game winning streak. Last time these two teams met, 1996. 1996. That's been a while. Always, when these teams met, always ranked in the top 25 of the 1AA poll. Always. Battle of ranked teams in the 1AA poll. Georgia Southern had some swagger about them. They were big kids on the block. Marshall was his upstart. Marshall became the big kid on the block in the 1AA days. 1996, last time these two teams met. That's been a while for Marshall and Georgia Southern. I hope that the two teams can rekindle. I don't know if there's probably the old school Georgia Southern fans that remember. You know, the Georgia Southern fans who remember the glory days. I remember the Herd glory days from back in the day with this series. And it doesn't have the longevity of, say, App State, but it was an interesting series. It started out on the wrong side for the Thundering Herd, and then the next 4 became Marshall games. This was a conference matchup. Again, brief rivalry, but isn't it always the things that burn brightest are those brief moments? So hopefully this is going to be a long-term rivalry between these two programs. I don't know if it's going to live up to Marshall App State in the long run, but I remember it well. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. Don't forget, we've got football coming up on 93.7 The Dog tomorrow. 3 o'clock, we'll be at Roosters, so hopefully you're going to show up at Roosters, get your favorite seat, and we'll be there for tomorrow's edition of Huntington Federal Savings Bank College Football Today. Basketball going to be right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Dave Wilson's going to have the call of that one, so you're covered either way. Thanks for tuning in. Back with you tomorrow, 3 o'clock, 93.7 The Dog for our pregame of Marshall football. Until then, have a great night, everyone.